December 14th, Tuesday.
What is all this?
In the end, the second draft of the manuscript that I sent with every last ounce of strength I could muster.
Mari-san! Like I said, Kid Harukun's merely a...
Yeah. I've got to at least give him props for trying, right? He did make the deadline after all.
None of you know what's going on, so keep your mouth shut.
Of
Of
course.
course.
Ended up inviting nearly the same reaction to the one I'd received when I submitted the first draft. Well, in a way, I suppose it's to be expected.
She enrolled in Hosho High only because her mother, Toma Yoko, abandoned her? Her personal wishes were never taken into account?
At the very least, that's what she thought at the moment. She did admit that it was just a misconception on her part later on, though.
Because she was so far above her peers in terms of ability and her refusing to communicate with others, she spent a whole year without speaking to a single classmate?
From what I know, she did actually talk a little bit around the time she enrolled, but it was primarily in the form of arguments.
She was constantly late or absent from class, abandoned by her teachers, caused a countless number of incidents due to her bad behavior, and was removed from the music program at the end of her second year?
She did manage to graduate one way or another, though.
Wow! What's up with all this gossip? Just barely starting to get her name out there in the world, and then suddenly all this?
She certainly lives up to her title as Toma Yoko's daughter, is what people are probably going to be saying. Isn't this kinda bad? The guys at Ensemble only gave us this job in the first place because the chief was on good terms with Toma Yoko, right? But this time, it's not because of an issue with my enthusiasm, but rather the actual content of my submission. Her evaluation does seem a bit more promising, so I suppose I managed to take a step forward. Oh, it's entirely possible that I'll end up taking 2 steps back as well.
Where did you get all of this from? Did a faculty member at the school tell you this?
From Toma herself.
Huh?
Well, it had been 3 years since I heard it, but all of the events I described here took place even earlier than that, so I don't think there's a problem. Mari-san looks at me with her usual stern expression. The other employees present also begin taking a look at the manuscript Mari-san passed over, and they grasped at their heads in uncertainty as they attempted to digest the article. That metaphor turned out kinda weird. I guess it's because I used my head too much yesterday.
Can we really print this?
Mari-san's expression is clearly different from the one she had when she rejected my first draft, though. That much I'm sure of. In any case, although she remains stern, there's no hint of regret or disappointment in her eyes at all. I can't make any final statements about that, given its current state. We should at the very least consult the school about this. I didn't use anything from the interviews after all.
The school's comments and the things written here are completely unrelated, right? Then they have no grounds to complain to us about anything.
That's certainly one way of thinking about it.
We can just tell them that we did the interview but didn't end up using any of it. I'll contact them personally about it.
Does that mean...
Mari-san? No way, right?
You're giving this the green light? On the contrary, Her words no longer carry the tone of, how do we fix this thing, but rather that of, how do we get this thing to pass?
I didn't mean it as a formality when I asked if we can really print this just now. What I meant was, printing this and letting all of Japan know about it, making it no longer knowledge that only belongs to you, Kirahara. Are you really okay with this?
I am.
I'm sorry.
Huh? This is a rare occurrence. Mari-san just brought back a topic that was supposed to be finished. And she didn't do it out of anger, but rather out of an indescribable feeling of awkwardness and embarrassment.
I treated you pretty harshly when you first worked on this. To be honest, I actually regret it quite a bit.
That said, she still hadn't really stopped speaking like a man. About that, I'm actually very grateful for the opportunity. It's really my fault that I wasn't able to produce something worthwhile.
That's not it. That's not what I meant.
Despite her forceful tone, however, she isn't speaking straightforwardly at all.
I knew you'd be able to handle it from the very beginning, and you matched those expectations in the end. You accomplished the task flawlessly.
Then...
I asked you earlier, didn't I? Are you really okay with this?
What did you really mean by... Before I could finish, and with her gaze still downcast, Mari-san hands me a flat plastic case.
Hojo High sent this to us yesterday. The letter that accompanied it mentioned that the 8th segment had one of Toma Kazusa's performances.
Sealed within the case is a single disc. On the cover, School Festival 2000 and Day 2 Stage Performances is written in bold with a permanent marker.
And I watched it, like the letter told me to. I'm really sorry about all this.
You didn't do anything wrong, Mari-san. Rather, creating this awkward mood in the first place is what she should really be apologizing for.
I told you before, right, Kirahara? As one of her schoolmates, I had high expectations of your connections. I wanted you to dig up things about Toma Kazusa that nobody knew about.
You did tell me that, but...
I had no idea how much pain this would put you through, though. Even though I wasn't informed, it was still inconsiderate. I'm sorry.
It's not your fault at all, Mari-san. The words I wanted to say were sealed away by her logic before I even had a chance.
I never thought someone as stiff and as stubborn as you, and someone as talented and as attractive as her would. My bad. I'm being inconsiderate again. It's not like I thought you wouldn't be popular with the girls, or that you and someone as pretty as her wouldn't make a good match, or anything like that. Let me apologize again. It feels like I just keep digging my own grave.
I don't mind, really. People have been saying the same thing to me since fall 3 years ago. I could even call it part of my identity now.
To be honest, I'm rather shaken up by all this. Making such a critical mistake. Delving so deep into your unexpected past.
I don't mind the former at all, and if possible, I'd prefer if you didn't mind the latter either.
How could I not? I finally found a piece of the puzzle to the weird feeling I always get from you.
What do you mean?
Do I really have to say it?
I won't know what you're referring to if you don't. I should have changed the topic. Even though she's my superior, and even though I'm just a lowly part-timer, I had no need to follow protocol here and ask for a clarification like a proper employee.
Kitahara, does the reason you're pushing yourself so hard at work have something to do with Toma Kazusa?
How distasteful. That almost borders on sexual harassment, Mari-san.
I might have mentioned this before, but in my opinion, I think you're treading on thin ice right now.
That's the only sarcastic reaction that could come to mind hearing what she had said.
If you were simply pushing yourself, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But I can't see what you're doing as being merely the result of the drive that you see young people having nowadays.
So, I act older than I look, huh?
Trying to exhaust yourself on a mental level is what I think you're doing. But deep down, your values and morals as a human being overshadow it.
So, basically, I'm looking to mentally suffocate myself, but because of my naturally serious and careful personality, I'm incapable of actually pulling the trigger.
Well, to put it bluntly, yes.
That makes me look a bit pathetic, doesn't it?
See that? You didn't snap in anger, nor did you argue back with your logic like you always do, Kitahara. You're just standing there, silently grinning to yourself.
Only now did I notice that the corners of my lips were curling upward. The other side of me, that was laughing at myself as I wrote the manuscript yesterday, is now standing before Mari-san, with an evil grin spread across my face. Even if I've already admitted it to myself, if somebody else were to see through me and hit the mark, the only thing I could possibly do is desperately deny it like a contrarian. With that, Mari-san seems to have finished what she had to say and is now simply staring intently at me. She seems to be seeking a reaction from me that's not just a hollow smile. I've moved on already. These things don't concern me anymore. That's why even though I don't intend to admit to everything, I've decided to stop denying all of it as well. I've simply stopped wearing that hollow smile. Without averting my gaze from Mari-san's eyes, I found the words I was looking for.
Even though things look fine on the outside, there are still plenty of things bothering you on the inside, aren't there?
That's why Mari-san isn't really as interested in what I had to say in comparison to the expression I said it with. So she continued with the topic yet again.
Still, let me give you a piece of advice coming from my own experience. Trying to use work as an escape is useless, you know?
Mari-san's words just now carried two important bits of information. It doesn't seem like she realizes that herself either.
Diving headfirst into your work or studies as recklessly as that will reflect poorly on the quality of the results.
After all, Mari-san sounded certain of what she said. The way she worded it left no room for me to form a counter-argument.
If you don't treat your work seriously, your work won't take you seriously either, you know?
The reason she's so sure of her words is most likely because she's worked harder than anyone ever had before. The accumulation of all her experience is what she's drawing these firm conclusions from.
And when it comes to relationships between men and women, I do think the same rules apply as well.
She sounded a little less certain in what she said just now. It almost feels like I have some rooms for a rebuttal now.
That's why, if you can only put all your effort into one of them, you should give up on the other.
Well, as I thought, she doesn't seem to have the same overwhelming amount of experience in this area as she does with working.
But before it gets to that point, why not give both of them a proper try first? There's nothing wrong with giving it a shot, right? You haven't done it yet, have you?
Only now do I notice the flush of red across Mari-san's face.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is...
It seems like she's well aware that the words she's using right now are words that she isn't used to saying.
Don't use your job as a way to escape from your love troubles. That's unfair to the job itself. Come on, say something.
You're a good person, Mari-san. A week ago, I might have shouted, "Don't touch me," just now. Just like a certain pianist would. In my heart, of course.
I'm getting a bit of an I just screwed up sort of feeling. I'm actually really embarrassed right now.
We'll forget all about it in a week. As long as I don't bring it back up, of course. But...
You'll forget about it, right?
who knows? There's a Japanese saying that goes, "The flow of the river carries on unceasingly, though the water is no longer where it once was."
You know, I've always cared about you a lot more than you think I do.
Mari-san.
Alas, it's already been a week since then. And I'm no longer who I was in the week before.
And I'm no longer who I was the week before either.
You have a bright future ahead of you. So I don't want to see you break down. Nor do I want to see you keep forcing yourself. I don't want to see you treat your job as if it were a punishment or an obligation.
I'm grateful. I really am. That's why, just like how a certain pianist changed as well, my hollow grin has since changed to a gentler smile. Oh yeah, take this. So, you should cheer up now. Another one?
What's with your tone?
No, she hands me with a keychain with some sort of a doll attached to it. You could probably find one of these in a souvenir shop anywhere around the world. It's not something that would make the recipient overjoyed, but at the same time, it wouldn't make them get any weird ideas either. It's just a plain handcrafted gift.
This isn't like that weird souvenir last time, you know? It's actually my favorite piece.
So you're not actually trying to mess with me again, like you did with that last time? Nothing that really warrants a drastic reaction. What even is this thing? An octopus? No, wait. A sea anemone? It has to be some kind of deep-sea creature. This is supposed to be her favorite piece?
I'm not too sure myself, but the model looked well made. You don't want it?
Of course not. I'll gratefully accept it. Though I don't really see myself treasuring it that much. To think she'd give such a passionate talk to a part-timer. How should I put it? Despite her workaholic nature, she still does show a certain human side of her now and then.
Now then, I'll be heading back to the office. Feel free to head home, Kitahara. Good work today.
I can stay a little longer, right? Hamada-san mentioned that the proofreading will take place tomorrow.
Do whatever you want. Well, do as you please.
She's given me the determination to give it my all, even if it's only a part-time job. In a sense, she's a very important person in my life. Having finally corrected her forced tone at the last second, Mari-san finished her break and returned to her battlefield.
You there, young man.
Yeah? But on her way back, she turns around again, as if remembering something.
Heal scars left from love with love itself. Don't just rely on stuff like work. That is all.
At the last moment, she says something she's probably regretting right now. Passionate, full of youth, and above all, loud. Okay. And so I find myself unable to move from where I stand for a bit. Because if I were to head back into the office right now, Mari-san would almost certainly throw an unreasonable amount of work at me due to her embarrassment.
She confessed. Mari-san confessed?
December 15th, Wednesday.
Hey, Haruki, you didn't come to the seminar on Monday, did ya? And there I was waiting for you the whole time.
Izumi, you didn't come to the seminar on Tuesday, did you? And there I was, waiting for you the whole time.
Being kept waiting in vain for 2 days is really painful, you know? Besides, if the upperclassmen set the impression that I'm your woman, Haruki, I'm sure it'll inconvenience you.
Yes, it was my bad for not showing up on Monday. I apologize for that.
Well, even though we both missed each other one time, we finally managed to meet up on Wednesday, so all's well that ends well.
That said, I went to confirm with our upperclassmen about Monday. From what I heard, you just called to confirm that I really wasn't there on Monday and didn't actually show up yourself either. Everyone seems to agree on the fact that this is the first time you've shown up to a seminar this week. What do you have to say for yourself?
Don't I give the impression of a young maiden by just making a call?
You actually planned to not come at all, except for Wednesday, didn't you? That's how it is, isn't it?
Haruki, you're being too persistent.
It's Wednesday. My third study session with Izumi is about to begin, and my repertoire of dinner meals is about to run out. Given that I'd served her curry during our first session, and curry again during the second, I've been worried about whether I'd be able to bring myself to make yet another dose of curry, albeit an extra spicy one, for this third instance. I imagine she'd just happily ask for seconds though, even if it wouldn't exactly be the most interesting sight. From the looks of it, we can finish the paper in just 2 more sessions, so you should be able to graduate this year. Still, Izumi, how do you even plan to get through the 4th year? Instead of worrying about what's going to happen to Izumi in the next few hours, I'm actually more worried about how she'll end up in a year. The others have already started to look for material for their graduation thesis after all. What is it? However, Izumi seems to be completely ignoring my sincere worry, instead thinking about something I have no clue about as she stares at me with an absent-minded expression.
You know, Haruki, you seem to look just a little bit better than I thought you'd be.
You're a literature student, so don't go off using such a disappointing choice of words. And this is just how I always am.
I thought you'd be more depressed, though.
I don't follow. I probably wouldn't have been able to understand her then either.
You're so stubborn. Even though it wouldn't hurt to show me more of your own weakness.
I can't even hear what you're saying this time. When you're speaking to someone, speak loud enough for them to hear, would you? And also, when you're talking to someone, don't just ignore them and look elsewhere. What's the matter? Back from the dead? I follow Izumi's gaze and look in the direction towards the front gate of the university that I'm all too used to seeing. Sugiura.
Huh?
A certain young girl, who I've been seeing quite often lately, is standing right in front of the gate, appearing to be waiting for someone. And the cast on the stage is exactly the same as the cast involved in a certain past encounter. Things should be unfolding slightly differently now, compared to the past encounter, however.
She's coming, you know. What should we do? Want me to chase her away again?
No, it's fine. She's figured us out anyway.
Huh?
Sugiura Koharu approaches me as she spots me, not even giving so much as a glance to Izumi as she stands beside me. It's worth mentioning that she doesn't feel troubled at all by the fact that these are the front gates of the university.
Hello, Kidahara-senpai. Great work last Saturday.
You were fine after all that, right? You rode a taxi home from the train station, right?
Huh?
After we found Setsuna, Sugiura disappeared without me noticing. That's why I couldn't even confirm if she made it onto the last train.
There's no need to worry. I properly returned home safely and without incident.
Is that so? That's good then.
Well, I suppose taxi fare was really expensive though.
Since she's right here in front of me, completely safe and sound though, I'm currently relieved on yet another thing I've been worrying about since that day.
Hey, hang on. Excuse me, senpai. I wish to have a word with you alone. Hey?
It's fine if that's all she wants. No, I can't help but feel that I'll get something new to worry about today.
I won't take too much of your time. 5 minutes should be enough.
Yeah, okay. Sugiura glares at me stubbornly. Rather than say that she's taking an unfriendly attitude with me, though, I think it's more appropriate to chart her current behavior as an intentional attempt to avoid Izumi. Well, it's not like I don't understand how she feels. After all, she did end up believing the story Izumi made up last time. Well, Izumi, sorry about this, but...
You're going to abandon me and go with the high school girl, huh? I knew it, Haruki. You're a massive pervert and a criminal lusting after young girls after all.
I won't be checking your papers ever again then. Run along now, underclassmen.
Ha ha ha. Kidding. I'm just kidding, okay? I'll just kill some time at the convenience store for now. Make sure you pick me up later. You two have fun. Huh?
Do you see it now? That's the true face of the person you thought was my girlfriend before.
She does seem to be a rather interesting person, though I wouldn't say she's the type I'd like hanging around me.
Well, given that she's someone who's even more stubborn than I am, it's only natural that she wouldn't really get along well with someone who lies a lot and is irresponsibly happy-go-lucky. Well, do you want to go to the cafe? No point in standing around here.
It's fine if we talk here. It's nothing important. I don't want to make your friend wait too long either.
Okay, I get it. Still, well, I should say the fact that she's still capable of being considerate towards Azumi, as well as the fact that she simply recognized her as only a friend of mine, are great steps in the right direction. What?
You seem to look a little better than I thought you'd be. I thought you'd be more depressed.
Again? Huh.
Eh?
Their expressions are exactly the same. I'm sure this girl will be enrolling in the literature department next year too. Well, everyone's fine, so even though it caused a bit of a commotion, nothing much happened in the end.
She's the only one that's fine. Everyone else who got involved in your crisis had a really rough time, senpai. Not only did you threaten the manager at where the party was hosted, but you also made the organizer give you everyone's contact information. And you even dragged your friend into it at the end.
You spent a whole minute walking from the high school to here just to say that? When I'm with her, no matter how much our relationships improve, our blunt conversations never seem to change.
I've come here to scold you, senpai.
You've already scolded me countless times. See exactly what I thought you said. I almost said that out loud since I saw it coming miles away.
This isn't like the small issue from before. I'm here to make you reflect on your personality this time, senpai.
I swear, you know no fear, do you, Sugiura?
I don't think I do, but it's just that I can't stay quiet this time.
Well, for the past few days, I don't recall ever seeing you staying quiet.
Could you be quiet for a second, please? I'm still not done talking, you know?
If she said something like that to me 3 years ago, our conversation probably wouldn't go anywhere, no matter how long we talked afterward. Since I've grown, I'll act like an adult and step back a little in order to balance things out.
I saw the video from your school festival.
Not again. Ever since Kazusa got a bit of recognition, everyone seems to be talking about that video.
And I also heard about what happened between you guys from Ogiso-senpai. Even though he doesn't know about anything beyond what happened during high school.
But how did you manage to get that out? I don't want to be reminded of that event. No, it's just something I don't need to be reminded of since it's carved so deep into my mind.
Did you think I'm being out of line here? I actually think so myself too.
If you know you are, then
I could ask you the same. If you know about it, then how long do you plan on staying this way, senpai?
What do you mean?
You seem to enjoy yourself so much during the school festival. You looked so happy.
This is bad.
Why have you two ended up like this?
To think that the last person I wanted to know about details of the events now knows something about it. This is probably among the top 5 mistakes I've ever made in my life.
You always told me that none of that matters, or that you weren't interested, but in reality, you actually care a lot, don't you? When she was in danger, Weren't you the one who tried to save her with everything you had?
If I knew she was going to use my weakness like this, I would rather have become that girl's endless source of free school lunch.
Since you regret your decision so much, I won't allow you to leave her. I definitely won't allow you to break up now.
It's not... Although I think she's overstepping her boundary into someone else's life, I didn't expect her to overstep this far. Instead of making me lose my temper, it actually made me let out a sigh. Listen, Sugiura.
What is it?
Putting aside what you just said earlier, aren't you taking a stance that's completely wrong here?
No matter how much you try to hide behind logic, Senpai, I don't plan to back down on this.
If you had to pick between the two, you'd say you dislike me, right? And why are you...
I'm not doing this for you, Senpai.
Then just who are you doing this for? Oh, I completely forgot.
But she was crying, wasn't she? Your girlfriend was crying, wasn't she?
Come to think of it, she has met Setsuna before. She found her waiting for the last train in front of the ticket gate all by herself. Setsuna had been right before her very eyes, as her gaze was downcast, not appearing to have any inclination of heading home, as she was simply being left behind by the surrounding crowd.
I can't stand watching stuff like this, you know? Since you two like each other, it bothers me that you can't be together.
Thruple would have solved everything. Just saying, still holds true. What do you mean, bother?
After all, if I were in that position, I couldn't stand being treated so coldly by the person I like.
In a way, she's butting in for a very selfish reason.
Especially if I knew that that person still liked me and that it would only cause us more pain and confusion over time.
In order to defend her own perspective, she even resorts to involving someone who's involved with someone who's acquainted with her own best friend.
That's why I hope you won't just give up like that, Senpai. If you think it's still too hard to face her by yourself, I can act as a mediator.
Whoa, wait a second. This has nothing to do with you, Sugiura.
She's my friend's sister. I've also helped search for her. And she's the girlfriend of my senior from work.
What kind of twisted logic is this? If someone else were to tell me the same thing, I'd probably lose my temper and argue back.
And finally, I'm also doing this for myself.
How so?
Because if I can help lift the burden from your heart, Senpai, maybe you would stop being such a cold person and you would start being nicer to me as well.
Hold on. What a roundabout way to put it. And at the same time, what a useless and meaningless grand plan this is. You really are a piece of work.
Are you mad?
Whatever. Just do whatever you want. I'm not even surprised anymore.
What is it now?
As I finally throw in the towel, Sugiura's knitted brows relax slightly as she stares at me.
Seems like you really are getting better. Thank goodness. I was really starting to worry about you a little.
Getting better? Me?
Because today you didn't start an argument with me like you did last time.
She opened her mouth slightly and shows a mischievous smile. Sugiura, did you come here to provoke me just to confirm that? Not at all. I meant everything I just said, you know? Really? Even when she changes her attitude, it's very different from a certain strategist I know. She makes it feel much more natural.
Alright, that concludes my lecture.
A lecture, you say? If I knew this would happen, I would have seriously dragged her to a coffee house by force. I can only imagine the misunderstandings, supposition, and delusions our strange argument has installed in the minds of the hundreds of university and high school students who have passed through the school gate.
I wasn't joking about what I said before, though. If you're still hesitating, Senpai, I'll seriously go and meet with Ogiso-san. Got it?
Alright, I'll accept your kindness and concern for the time being. But now, I don't really care if people misunderstand us.
If you're making such a proud declaration, I expect to see some results soon, okay?
Probably because I've been affected by Sugira's overly frank, annoying kindness. Anyway, I should get going. There's still someone waiting for me.
Okay, thank you for everything. I'll be going too then.
I didn't tell her that I'd do it, but I didn't tell her that I wouldn't either. With that, the possibility is not zero yet. And if that's the case, I guess I don't have to raise my voice just because my heart's irritated.
Senpai?
As my mind lifts off to events that happened in the past, I hear a cheerful voice calling out to me from behind.
I'll be going to work this weekend. Since you've been nagging about it so much, Senpai, I'll only be working the morning shifts on those 2 days.
And?
That's all. Bye.
What was that all about? Is she telling me not to come? Or maybe. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, etc. I have faked a girlfriend before. However, I didn't have someone pretending to be my girlfriend, but I had some accomplices backing me up. It was much the same reason as Haruki, to avoid romantic interest from others. Haruki's first mistake, though, is to claim that he was single. That's why this all happened. Nowadays, my response is that I'm unavailable for romantic or sexual encounters, if anyone asks if I'm single. It has the bonus of actually being true, and not being that big of a hit on the ego of the person asking. I know getting rejected sucks, but at least the reason doesn't have a specific connection to the person.